Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Limnacker, and just want to share with you some of the top stories that we are following right now. And we want to start now with this tragedy out of Clayton County. Here's the story. It's the top story on our website, which I'm playing for you right now off of AtlantaNewsFirst.com if you want to check this out. But this top story that we're following is that a woman was allegedly kidnapped and killed by her ex-boyfriend. So here's what happened. Clayton County Police telling us that this 19-year-old woman was kidnapped from her workplace and led, the suspect, this ex-boyfriend, allegedly led law enforcement on a chase from Fayetteville that ended at Lovejoy High School. So police tell us it was 20-year-old Cameron Jamichael Hopkins who showed up at the Wingstop in Fayetteville, where his 19-year-old ex-girlfriend was working, kidnapping her at gunpoint. And then police were called, and Fayetteville police officer ended up spotting Hopkins driving and then engaged in a pursuit, which, went on down McDonough Road there. So police say that Hopkins was finally stopped at Lovejoy High School using a pit maneuver, by law enforcement. And that's when police say they heard shots fired. They say that Hopkins started shooting at them, even hitting police cars. They used a type of irritant similar to pepper spray to get Hopkins out of his car, which is when he was arrested. And during the course of this is when Hopkins actually shot his ex-girlfriend during the course of this standoff with police. But Clayton County Police and Fayetteville Police are handling the investigations into this kidnapping and homicide. But certainly a major story that we're following, a lot more to dig into surrounding the death of this 19-year-old woman. But another major story that we are following as well, this is out of Hampton. And right now, 4 people have been shot and killed in a very quiet neighborhood of Hampton. Police finally did track down the suspected shooter and shot and killed him. 3 law enforcement officers are recovering after being shot during that shootout with the suspect. 2 Clayton County police officers and 1 Henry County Sheriff's deputy were injured in all of this. One of them was life-flighted to Grady. We're learning all of them, thankfully, are expected to survive their gunshot wounds. But, it all started on a Saturday morning, according to police. Andre Longmore, the suspect here, allegedly started shooting his neighbors in the Dogwood Lake subdivision in Hampton. When it was all over, 4 residents of this normally quiet, tranquil neighborhood had been killed. 2 of them a married couple. And for more than 24 hours, residents and law enforcement officers across that area were really on high alert. And then on Sunday, they caught up with their suspect in Clayton County. We spoke with a man who lives on Wagon Wheel Court, and he told us that he and his friends were really just in their backyard. And then all of a sudden they say that a naked man, who police later identified as the suspect, Longmore, jumped into the yard saying he needed help. So that's when they ran and alerted police. Let's listen.
Police go in, they open the back door. As soon as they open the back door, they don't even look. They don't assess anything. As soon as they open the back door, this guy just starts shooting one of the cops. The police start shooting, and now he's laying in there dead on the carpet.
Yeah, well, as for the wounded officers here, we understand that the most seriously injured was shot in the lower back. Sorry, I'm just trying to get up this web story so you can kind of see what we have on AtlantaNewsFirst.com. Encourage you to check that out for any updates. But we understand the most seriously injured was shot in the lower back. We are also learning the identities of the victims killed as well. Ronald Jeffers, Steve Blizzard, and a couple, Shirley and Scott Leavitt as well. And tonight at 7:30, there's going to be a community gathering, a candlelight vigil to honor them at the Terry F. James Park. If you want to participate in that. And I'm just playing this story on our website so you can just, see our coverage, and you may want to check that out if you're in that area and you have an interest in what's going on, because we're going to continue to post updates as the justice process continues to bring this suspect to justice. But obviously at this point the community is still grieving and still trying to heal and absorb the shock of really what happened in this truly horrific tragedy there. Also, we want to shift gears a little bit right now and tell you about some changes. If you're a parent in Dekalb County, this is something that obviously would impact you because, there's been a new superintendent, Devon Horton, who has been in place since April. He was voted in, and he's already looking to overhaul the district. My colleague, Atlanta News First reporter Bridget Spencer, has more. Apologies, having a bit of trouble with that video, but you can also find that on atlantanewsfirst.com. Meanwhile, I want to let you know just about this, just the efforts to commemorate Dr. Christine King Farris. There was a final farewell for her. Of course, as we've been reporting to you, she was the oldest sister of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. She was really a trailblazer for civil rights, and there was a celebration of life that was held in her honor just yesterday at Ebenezer Baptist Church, the same church pastored by her grandfather, her father, and her two brothers. People gathered to reflect on her life and her legacy. The former Atlanta Public Schools teacher and Spelman College professor was 95 years old when she passed away at the end of last month. Our condolences to her family and all of her loved ones, of course. She will be remembered for sure. Okay, I want to turn to a look at the forecast now. We have meteorologist Rodney Harris keeping an eye on things. It's kind of gray out there, Rodney. What's that about?
It's haze, Joy. That is really one of the issues that we're dealing with today. A lot of haze in the air, so watch out for that. We actually technically do not have an air quality alert, but it's hard to miss when you look at that live camera. So just a heads up, that should dissipate as we continue through the afternoon hours. It's 77 degrees outdoors in Atlanta. I want to start with the dew point because that will be important today. As a reminder, the dew point is a measure of the moisture that's in the air. And right now, whenever you have dew points in the upper 60s, that's super humid. At the end of last week, we were in the low 70s. That was super humid. I'm actually forecasting those dew points to drop into the low 60s later on this afternoon, so that should feel a little bit better on your skin, maybe even some upper 50s. So we do have some dry air that will briefly move into North Georgia and make it feel not so terrible this afternoon, but that dry air will be very short-lived as the moisture is back tomorrow. So these are the highs today across the country, and the reason I'm showing you this, we don't normally do this, but notice our 94 in Atlanta compared to like 105 in Dallas, 116 in Phoenix. So that pink that you see on the map, that represents triple-digit heat that they will continue to see because they've been seeing it for weeks now in the south and southwestern U.S. It's because of what we call a ridge of high pressure that always builds in from the south this time of year. Exactly how that high is configured will change throughout the summer, but the general idea of high pressure moving in from the south happens every summer. That's why it's so warm. What's happening for us this week is that high pressure has been really centered across the southwestern U.S. It's going to expand and include a good chunk of North Georgia this week, which is why our temperatures will go up. Speaking of which, the high today is 94 degrees, which is the same as it was yesterday. So you're not going to notice that much of a difference temperature-wise from Sunday. But by Tuesday, about 97. Wednesday, 97. Thursday, 96. So the hottest temperature so far this year in Atlanta has been 96, and that was back on July 1st. So this is definitely hot as we head toward the middle of the week. Want to point out the heat index is what it feels like on your skin. Initially, the heat index it's going to be hot, but Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're going to have to watch that very carefully. Anytime the heat index is up to 105, that is a heat advisory. That's very dangerous heat. We're going to be pretty close to that, so we're going to have to watch the middle to end of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for potential first alerts for heat. We don't have those yet because we don't actually have any heat advisories, but that's not impossible during the middle of the week, not only because of the fact that the highs are in the upper 90s, but for what may be heat index temperatures that get close to 105. We'll keep you up to date on that. In terms of the rain, it'll stay dry for the first part of the week, but as you can see, by the end of the week, we do have a 40% chance of rain back on your forecast for this Thursday and Friday, and that's that high pressure that'll start to break down by the end of the week, so you'll notice our temperatures will come down, but the rain chances will go up as we go into the weekend. So the final thing I want to talk about is Don. We have subtropical depression Don, which is still out in the open Atlantic, not really bothering anybody. I do want to point out the reason why you see the word sub in there is because this is like a hybrid tropical depression. In other words, it's not entirely organized. You can actually see that orange and red, those are thunderstorms that are well east of the center of Don. And because it's been so disorganized since it developed last week, it's been referred to initially as a subtropical storm, now a subtropical depression. But that's where that sub is coming from. It's essentially a hybrid system that's not entirely tropical because it is so disorganized. It's possible that it becomes better organized this week, so we'll watch that for you carefully. But either way, it's not really going to impact anybody out there in the Atlantic. We've had 5 storms so far this season in the Atlantic. It's an early season. It doesn't end until the end of November, and it doesn't even peak until September, so we got a long way to go, but 5 storms so far in the Atlantic. So that's your forecast here close at home. Just hot this week, and then higher rain chances as we head toward the end of the week. Make sure and stay in the shade and drink plenty of water if you're going to be outdoors for long periods of time. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez has your updated forecast on Atlanta News First at noon, and until next time, we hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you soon.